Conflict. When we're talking about having your voice, you can't talk about having your voice and being victoriously outspoken, initiating corrective environments without talking about conflict. Because ultimately, we lose our voice when it comes to conflict. Generally, none of us have a problem giving a compliment or telling somebody, oh, or telling us thank you. Usually, that's not a problem. The problem in our voice comes when we, hit things that are not comfortable for us. When we hit things that become emotional, when we hit things that become hard for us to communicate. That's where we have a hard time with our voice. That's when we start to kind of compromise. That's when we get extra quiet. That's when we don't say things that we really want, things that we want to know. I did a video where I talked about things can be resolved with a question. Once again, internalizing your feelings, all of your feelings, leads you to have different thoughts. Your thoughts make you become your thoughts become your actions. So if you internalize things, you internalize pain, and somebody else comes along and they hit that spot without knowing, and you never say anything, you internalize and you start to think a certain way about that person. They don't even know what they have done, but because you do not have your voice, because you do not speak, now you have lumped them into a group of people who have pain around you. So whenever they come or whenever, now all of a sudden you're treating them differently and they have no clue. And it's not just them, but it's other people as well. All because you didn't speak. It is so important to get an understanding. That's first of all. Most of the things, whenever I'm talking to somebody, whenever I'm giving advice or leading people through, I always start by asking questions. And I have one person, I was like, oh my God, I hate it when you ask that. Because a lot of times what I have found is that we're trying to speak to something, to an idea, to a thought, to an action, to a statement that we don't fully understand. And whenever you do that, you're going to speak from your own place of pain or how you process it. So you have to ask questions. You've got to be almost like a little investigator. Go, okay, wait a minute. Did you mean when you said this, or this is how I took it? Or I don't know if you heard you, but your tone was a little different. So when you said A, B, C, and D, it made me feel like E, F, and G. And you would be surprised how just a question, just clarity, can really take what you think is about to be an escalated conflict to just two sentences and an understanding. But it all begins with a question and your ability and your confidence to ask that question. When a person loses their voice, they haven't just lost their voice. They've lost the essence of who they are. They're losing their mark. They're losing their identity. They're losing their purpose in this world. That's why your voice is so important, because your voice is connected to who you have been called and chosen to be. Whether it be somebody that handles conflict, somebody that brings about peace, somebody that does negotiations. It could just be somebody that just says hi or encouragement. Either way, your voice cannot afford to be silent. It has to be heard. And when you know it, you'll know when to use that voice and when not to. Your voice represents so much. It represents who you are, what you stand for, what you like and what you don't like. And that's why it is so crucial that you use that voice. It's so important that you find your voice. I don't want you to go in 2025 talking about, everything is going to be better if you have not decided what you need to do to make it better. I want you to have real concrete tools to help you find your voice. It can be something as simple as just saying no. It can be something as simple as saying, okay, I don't know what your intentions were, but this is how you came across. This is what made me feel this way. And so now where are we? Like I told you in an earlier video, until there's a disagreement and a falling out or a misunderstanding and we're able to work through it, I don't consider you a friend, because anybody can ride with you as long as everything is going their way. It takes somebody full of integrity, somebody full of confidence, somebody that cares about you to ride with you and to be with you enough to work through whatever the problem is. And that's all I'm saying. I want you to know and understand the power of your voice. And remember, I told you, it's not just saying things, but it's about being victoriously outspoken. There's a difference between being outspoken and being victoriously outspoken. And I kind of gave you some of that because I said at the beginning, a question can diffuse and it can calm and it can change so many things. Well, your ability to ask questions, your desire to ask questions, your intentionality to ask questions is everything. If you ask questions, you would be surprised at some of the responses, and you would be surprised at the way you thought something was is not nearly the way it is. And I mean this even with couples. A man and a woman can say the same thing, but behind those words, they are not thinking the same thing. And just a question to say, what were you thinking, changes everything. So when I say that your voice is still going to be victoriously outspoken, some of the things that make it victorious and not just outspoken is the way you do it. It's the manner that you do, and it's about being vulnerable enough to ask questions. A lot of times we have two modes. We're either silent or we're angrily or speaking in anger. And to be victoriously outspoken means to find that balance, to find that middle ground to where you're asking questions, to where you're not just speaking in anger, but that you are speaking clearly, you are saying what you need, you are asking questions, and you're trying to work toward a resolve. The more you do it, the more comfortable you will become, and the better you will be at it. And you'll realize that the voice that you've been hiding is a voice that people have needed. A lot of times well, none of us are challenged, and none of us really see ourselves until we are challenged by what we say, right? If nobody ever comes back and nobody ever tells you you're wrong, you go through life thinking, I'm always right. Nobody challenges me. I tell people real quickly, if you want to hurt somebody and not love them, then don't give them any discipline. Don't ever tell them no. That's why the Bible even says, he that the Lord loves, he chastens, he chastises, he disciplines. And when a person withholds discipline from you, when they never tell you no, when they never correct you, that's a great indication that they don't even think enough about you to correct you. See, remember, our voice is about being victoriously outspoken, initiating corrective environments. I want you to have corrective environments around you. That does not mean we're creating perfect environments. It just means we're having an environment to where there's room for change, there's room for growth, there's room for improvement, which all adds up to progress. Bye-bye.